Good afternoon, everyone. Blake, are you ready to kick it off?
Hey, yeah, I am. Thanks, David.
Fantastic. So Blake's going to go ahead and do his presentation today. I'll be moderating the chat and looking forward to having a complete participation. Go ahead, Blake.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Blake Rockwell. I'm the technical sales lead here at Rockton Software. This is the first time you're hearing about us. I'm glad that I can be the one to introduce you. We've been in the ISV space, an independent software vendor, since 1999, helping make you solutions that will help you work simpler and easier inside of your ERP. Today, we're going to take a look at our pricing solution, help you get out of the Excel headaches you might be experiencing if you're using spreadsheets to do your pricing. And we'll show you how you can simplify that whole process using Rockton Pricing Management. So we only have 20 minutes, so I say let's hop into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you have any questions, please add them into the chat and I'll answer them at the end. So I'll share my screen and pull this up. David, let me know if everyone can't see my acuMatica screen, but right now you should be looking at an acuMatica sales order for USA Bartending School.
It looks great.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So this is right now what we're looking at actually is Rockton Pricing Management. Rockton Pricing Management priced this order. So this is an acuMatica instance with Rockton Pricing Management installed, and it really just works like magic. What Rockton Pricing Management does is we replace the pricing logic that acuMatica uses to come up with a unit price field. So effectively, we are populating this unit price field on any given order. So if we add a line item, we'll just go ahead and pick a new item. We'll add a Lego, go ahead and give it a quantity of 1, and then we'll slide over and see what price came in. And right there, we can see it did populate a price, and that price came from Rockton Pricing Management. So there's a couple ways we can check to see how that price was come up with. We can look at our diagnostics log. Right under here, we can view the diagnostics. This will show us the logic that RPM worked through to come up with that price. So this is great for troubleshooting. And then we can also check right here the sales line details by switching between the grid and form view. If we click on a line item and click this little pencil icon, we can see the drop down here. And if we scroll down, we can see the adjustments that were made. Right here, we can say that we started with the item cost and that pulled that in. Then we added 20% to the item cost. We also tracked a sales commission. And then we also added a 3.5 surcharge because the shipping location was New Jersey. So this right here is an example of a document attribute where we use something on the document to drive pricing. This is one of the ways that Rockton Pricing Management is very powerful. We can use any piece of data as long as it exists in your ERP, acuMatica in this case, to drive data. So if I hop over to the shipping tab here, you can see that, or maybe it's addresses. Yep. You can see that the ship to address is New Jersey. And so therefore that New Jersey shipping price surcharge of 3.5% applied. That's just one example of a document attribute, but we can get really crazy with document attributes and pricing in general. So now we're going to take a look at Rockton Pricing Management, the actual interface you'll be using to set up this pricing logic. So like I said, Rockton Pricing Management is a calculation engine. It's replacing this logic that acuMatica is using. Effectively, you're telling acuMatica, ignore acuMatica's pricing logic, ask Rockton what the price should be. And that is going to come over from this tab right here. Now switch tabs to our standalone web application that is Rockton Pricing Management. So Rockton Pricing Management is a standalone web app. It sits outside of acuMatica, but you install a connector inside of acuMatica. That connector piece is basically saying, hey, make an API call out to RPM whenever we want to get a price. Let us know what the price is and populate that unit price field. Our pricing is going to come down to 2 major sets on the left here of my columns. I have a pricing column. This is going to be where the pricing logic is set up. And then I have an acuMatica data column. This is going to be where all that data comes in. So I'm going to have my customers. Those are all going to be imported in, my items, etc. The data here is going to synchronize automatically between acuMatica and Rockton Pricing Management. So if you add items, you add customers, etc. inside of acuMatica, they'll automatically populate here. But the data does not flow the other way, which is good because if I accidentally come in here and I delete all my records, it's not going to also delete them in my ERP. Just now these records won't exist in RPM, so I can't price these records because it doesn't have the data there anymore because we've just deleted it. So that's the data flow. It's one way. We pull everything from acuMatica to your Rockton Pricing Management interface here. So this data, our customers, our items, and any attribute values, and then even document attributes, unit of measure, currency, really anything we can use, we can drive pricing with that. So that's the data portion. Over here is the pricing, where we're actually going to set up our rules. Rules are basically going to be a set of price calculations, which is doing math to a price that is conditionally applied by a filter telling us, hey, if the ship to location equals New Jersey, apply this. If it's not New Jersey, ignore it, right? Don't apply it. So that's going to come down to the filters. Of course, we don't have to get away from our price books and price sheets. So if you still want to use those contracts or Excel, we're going to help manage that a little bit better. So we'll get into that for sure. We also have cataloging. So we're able to provide the customer a sheet with all of their prices for their items. So let's hop into the top and start with the price schedules. So in Acumatica, these are going to be your customer price classes. These are going to tie directly to those. So if you create a customer price class, that will appear down here. And this is where we're going to set up our logic. So for any unique group of pricing, you'll likely want to create a price schedule. There's many ways we can set this up. And of course, our implementation team is there to help you all along the way. If this is ever confusing, it might just be helpful to know that we can do the product, that our product can do what you need it to do. You don't necessarily have to understand how it will do that. We're happy to set that up and get that going for you. So I'm just going to try to touch onto the capabilities a little bit here. So starting at the price schedule level, again, tying to your customer price classes, we'll take one right here. For example, retail pricing. It's one you're all pretty familiar with. We can rank these price schedules right here from 1 to really infinity. And then we can have multiple price schedules apply. So if I have 3 price schedules, one ranked at 1, one ranked at 2, one ranked at 3, in this case, retail is ranked at 1, it's going to first call the price, look at retail price schedule. Hey, can this apply? If I had a filter applied right here, you can see this area right here says pricing filter. This would be like the ship to of New Jersey. So the ship to New Jersey, for example, right here, has a pricing filter on it. You can see this pricing filter is ship to state equals New Jersey. So now this adjustment will only apply if this pricing filter applies. If that filter didn't apply, it's ignored. So going back to the price schedule level, we can apply the filters there or at the calculation level. So there's a couple places we can filter. But if we're going to filter for the whole schedule, up here, say retail pricing only applies to these groups of customers or these regions and locations or some other combination of those. You can make a filter based on anything. It could be, very broad, like, U.S. customers. It could be very specific. Canadian customers who bought green items and are, just go down the list of all sorts of stuff, located in this province and bought this much product in the last 6 months. So we can get really specific with our filters. We can be kind of broad. It's up to you. There's a lot of pricing capability here. But right here, if we had a filter applied, such as these are for our gold customers, then if a sales order were created for a customer who this pricing filter didn't apply, it's going to first look here because we've told it to check here first. This is the highest rank. Then it will move to the next price schedule, the one ranked at 2. If nothing's filtered out, it will go with that one. But if there is filters and those filters don't apply, it will go to the third and so on. So we basically set up the filters here if we want this to hit. How we have this set up, since this is ranked highest and we're not actually filtering out anything with no filter applied, it means it applies to all customers, all items, all scenarios, then retail pricing is always going to be found in this scenario. So we're always going to come back with retail price, which is why on the sales order, when these line items were added, if we scroll to the end here, you can see the customer price class was retail. Indeed, that came in. We can also see that those line adjustments, when I scroll down, you can see that that 2% commission, that 20% cost plus, and that 3.5% charge for shipping to New Jersey, those are all right here too. So if I want to add more calculations, you can add more, just add them right here. If I want to remove them, just delete them from this. There's no limit to the number of filters, calculations, schedules, price books, price sheets, anything. You can have as much pricing data as you'd like to populate in here. Of course, it might be more difficult to manage if you have a lot of data in here. Coming down here, we have the price source option. This is going to be the main driver of how we get our price. You're telling us, where do you want us to start before we start doing the math? So before I mark it up 20%, what am I marking it up from? In this case, I've set it up to do cost plus pricing. This is very common and something that Acumatica can't do without an external tool such as Rockton Pricing Management. So if you're trying to base on cost and markup, this is a great way to do that. But we can base on really anything. We can come from a list price, a price book. A price book could be made up of just a pre-negotiated contract. It's just a set list of prices and items. We can look at another price schedule. So we can layer our price schedules and have them look at the previous price schedule and so on. Start with 0. Really a lot of options. For simplicity and time, I'm just going to go with cost. If you want to have a rounding rule, you can apply it there. So make your prices end in 99 cents up down to the nearest multiple of whatever. We can make your price end however you'd like, make it nice and pretty. And then down here are our price calculations. We can change the order they're applied. For example, if we want the 3.5% to be taken first, decrease that rank, increase the rank, so on. But now let's dive into a price calculation and see how that works. Here's an example of our cost plus 20%. Right here is our price mode option. Any way we want to do math, we can write a custom SQL calculation or use an existing thing here. Probably easier to use the existing, like percent adjustment. The common ones we have already coded into here. So this is just a simple percent adjustment of positive 20. If you want a 20% discount, just put minus there. That would take 20% off. Adding 20 adds 20%. If this is a 20% markup and it only applies for certain groups of items, customers, or some combination of any piece of data, again, anything in this data tab down here can be used to drive pricing. That is fine. Put it here. And then most powerfully, we can track any price calculation to a general ledger account. As you can see, I tracked it to a receivable and a payable account. So now I can see how these are doing and track the performance of these. By being able to take any price calculation and track it to a general ledger account, we are able to handle margins, rebates, commissions, royalties, etc. Because the only thing that a commission is just a price calculation that doesn't modify the unit price. You uncheck this box, make sure it doesn't change the price, but we still track that 20% amount to a general ledger account. For example, going back to that sales commission, you can see modified unit price is not checked. We still have that 2% amount, and then we track it to the GL account. Very simple. So that is our price calculations. We're going to move on to price filters. For example, our ship to state. Our pricing filter here is very simple. You give it an intuitive name. We've created a document attribute right here. So we can take a customer or an attribute. So like customer, company size, customer geography, date, item attribute like item color, item class, the SKU number, etc. Any of those could be used to create this filter. And we can have multiple things here. So I can have ship to New Jersey, which is as it is now, but I could also have ship to New Jersey and SKU contains 999. Say your SKU of 999 items are some category, right? You want those to have a special price. So these filters can be layered with multiple conditions, and those can all apply. Price books are just made up of price sheets. For example, price sheet by customer. Here's like items. Here's the cost. Here's how much it costs to the customer. They're date driven, so they expire after the date. If it's outside the state range, the price doesn't apply. So if you have that contractual pricing that you don't want to get off, you can go ahead and set up these price sheets. And then at the price schedule level, you just set that price sheet as a price source option. So instead of saying, oh, based on the cost, you just say, oh, based on that price book, and then go find that price book. We have our catalog sheets, but really this is about what I wanted to go over. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of an overview of what we're capable of doing. It's a very powerful pricing tool, like acuCONNECT says, the most powerful ever created for any ERP. And yeah, we're able to do a lot of stuff, rebates, royalties, commissions, cost plus pricing, list less pricing, multiple contracts for one customer and conditionally choosing when they might apply. Let's talk about pricing conditions. That'll be the last thing I'll talk about. We can use any really historical data to drive pricing. For example, this is if a customer purchased more than $1,000 in the past. But to make this simple, it's really any condition. So in the case of if they purchased $1,000 in the past, that's just a dollar amount of historical sales. So we can base any of these conditions on certain things, such as the dollar amount of historical sales, for example, like this, the dollar amount on previous document lines, so much they spent on the previous document lines, the quantity of previous document lines, so how many items they've purchased, the quantity on all document lines, the total of all the documents, all the lines in the whole document, how many items are there, quantity of historical sales, how many sales documents does this customer have? If they've placed 1,000 orders, give them an extra 10% or discount, something like that, or sales documents. So all of that can be used to create certain data-driven conditions. And then right here, we can choose a time range. So if we want to say, how much have they bought in the last year, in the last quarter, in the last month, etc. So let's just say, let's say if they bought $1,000 in the last 3 months. Then we can make it some sort of condition applies. Discount of 10%, add 1%, whatever you want to do. So that's most of what I wanted to show you. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, come back over to the chat and go ahead and go over some of the questions I have. is that field added to the DAC and accessible in our forms? The unit price field. The unit price field is a default acuMatica field. We're just tying into that field and populating that field. So it's just does that answer your question? Let me know if that didn't. It's not, such as prior price or prior margin. Historical data we can hold. So what we can do is, like you were looking at these price sheets. If you have a price sheet, like here's pricing back to 2023, and these expire at the end of 2023, we can use this data here. We have these prices. Yes. In the case of the price schedules where we're going on the item cost. So for example, we're saying, item cost, this is going to be the current cost. So at the time the sales order was created, whatever that cost was, it's going to be that value. But if I go and recalculate the prices on this order 1 year from now, when that cost has changed, there's no way to know what that cost was before if I recalculated those prices. We are able, though, to go into our catalogs and benchmarks, do benchmarking. So if I pull up like a catalog right here, you can see we have prices, and then we can calculate and benchmark those prices. So if we benchmark those, we can see, it was calculated this on this date, benchmarked there. So that's one option. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. I'm so sorry that I'm talking to myself. But yes, we can do historical data as long as that price schedule is still there. If you have that data there, still saved, even deleted it. We can reference that old sheet. Just the cost would be calculated at the current cost. So if it's not held somewhere, we can't base on data that's not there. To summarize that, we like to say RPM, or Rockton Pricing Management, does not stand for read people's minds, right? We can't guess what you want to do. As long as the data is there and we can reference it, the answer is generally yes. Mass updates and groups of items. Yes, we can do a contract mass updates. If you want to take your whole price sheet and add 5% to the value, we can do mass updates and such. Group discounts. Other types of lamps. So can multiple items count towards that 100 lamp? Can lamp A and lamp B be considered all a lamp? And then if you buy 100 total of A or B, that counts 100. Yes, we can have some pricing be driven from that. Yes, you can export those price lists and send to customers. More likely, though, what you do is you'd export a catalog. The catalog is basically just a price sheet without the adjustments there, because you do not want your customer to know that you took the cost, marked it up 30%, and sent it on to them, right? So it's just going to populate that unit price, and the customer will see, here's an item, here's the price, not here's the item, here's the markup, here's the price, like the price sheet shows. So yes, but not the price sheet. You want to send the customer the catalog, but technically you could send them the price sheet too. Great questions so far from everyone. Thank you. So I think I've answered all those questions. It looks like I've just got a couple more minutes here. How do you get more demos? Please reach out. sales@rocktonsoftware.com. Great question. Also share a little bit about pricing. We're priced by the month. So the monthly price, it ranges based on your acuMatica tier size from about $700 a month to about $1,100 a month, plus an initial implementation fee equal to 10 times the monthly cost. So just to give you a ballpark pricing on what a pricing solution of this capability can do. But if you want to set up a demo, just send me an email, sales@rocktonsoftware.com. I'm available Monday through Friday. Happy to set that up and get you on the calendar. And I would love to show you, run through the scenarios and see how we can help you work simpler and easier inside of acuMatica. I'll just give it a few more minutes. If anyone else has more questions, I'll be happy to answer those. And otherwise, we're about to run out of time here. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes for time. But otherwise, everyone who's joined us today, hope I was able to give you a little bit of a teaser of what we offer. RPM is very powerful, so there's just not enough time in 20 minutes to go over everything. But hopefully it gave you a little bit of an idea, and you might if it's something that you want to explore further, just reach out and we can go over that together.
Hey, Blake, what was that email address that you wanted to? Or I could put it in the chat.
It's sales@rocktonsoftware.com. I'll type it right now. But if you just go to our website, just go to rocktonsoftware.com and reach out to us. You'll find a link somewhere. Just reach out to anyone or any link you find. Someone, it'll eventually come to me. We'll find you. We're a small team. Cool.
No, and I'll put a plug for you guys. I've worked with you in other ecosystems for years, and it's a great solution. I've known that team. It's absolutely a fantastic solution.
Thank you. Put a lot of work into it, many years. Over 20 years of pricing development went into the creation of this product. It was born from our old GP pricing solution, and we just made it way better.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much, everyone. We're out of time, and have a great rest of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.